Senator Gabriel Ramos, thank you so much for joining me on New Mexico in Focus.
Thank you very much, Mr. DeVizio. I've been looking forward to this, so thank you.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to check in to get an update on where things stand in the nominating process for the open board seats at Western New Mexico University. What is the status of those seats right now as we tape this on Monday?
Mr. DeVizio, I stood up on the Senate floor 2 weeks ago asking for some Board of Regents. WNMU deserves this board as soon as possible. And I heard as of this morning, after I stood up on the floor again and asked for some more help, and I heard that we're finally getting some nominees. I don't know who they are at this point. I they've I guess you have to be privy to have that information, and I have not received that as of yet. I've been told there's been over 20 applicants since before we even started the session, and I'm just concerned on why have we not gotten an appointment when every other university in the state of New Mexico has gotten a few appointments. Mr. DeVizio, my biggest concern is that we have a young student board of regent making all the decisions at Western New Mexico University as we speak. And that is a big concern of mine. I know this kid, he's a great kid, very knowledgeable kid. But when one person is making all the financial decisions and signing off on documents that normally are passed through a board, that really concerns me. It concerns me that our faculty and all our workers throughout WNMU and our students are being affected. And who knows what the final effect's going to be after not having a board or a president for this amount of time.
Generally, how long does it take, or how long should senators have to properly consider candidates for a position like this?
Well, Mr. DeVizio, I've served on the Senate before. I've never seen anyone governor take so time, or the governor we currently have take so much time to appoint a board of regents. I know that we've had our ups and downs at Western New Mexico University, and I'm sure she's trying to pick the right person. But when we've had these applicants for, throughout the whole session at least, we should have already been prepped to put someone in.
Can you just walk me through quickly, like when you get a nominee in front of you, what are you looking for? What qualities are you looking for? And what does an ideal candidate look like?
Well, we definitely want someone that can read a budget. We definitely want someone that knows WNMU or has attended WNMU. We definitely want someone that has great leadership skills. We want someone that thinks out of the box because at a university like Western, we need someone that can that can relate, but also look forward to see what bigger and greater things we can do at WNMU.
Okay, now in session right now, Senate Joint Resolution 7 proposes a constitutional amendment that would require the governor to select a regent for nomination from a list provided by a nominating committee for each university or community college. That bill was reported out of the Senate Rules Committee with a do pass recommendation, but it hasn't seen any movement in over a month now. Would you support that change if it came to the full Senate?
Mr. DeVizio, I probably would. At this point, I haven't seen it, and this is the first time I've ever heard of it. But just right off the bat, thinking off the cuff, I probably would support something like this.
This whole situation, of course, began after the discovery of lavish spending by former university president Joseph Shepard and the subsequent buyout plan of $1.9 million. The Attorney General filed a lawsuit over that severance package. Do you support that lawsuit?
I wish that I could say yes or no, but I wasn't in those talks. I don't know what was said behind those closed doors. I don't know what kind of verbiage was exchanged between the attorneys. All I know is that we need a board and we need it soon. I wasn't serving at the time that all this was going on, so I have some information, but most of that information was given to me through the newspapers. There was an audit done. We received information that some information that was in that audit through the media. How often does that happen? Usually, when there's an audit done, they go to the university, they speak to them about their findings, they give them a chance to rebuttal and let them know why they did it, and then move on. And if it's something that's really bad, then there's proper procedures to remove people if that's the case.
Now, another measure in the legislature right now already passed the House, HJR 12, that would ask voters to approve a constitutional amendment that creates more guardrails for regions. It would codify regions' fiduciary duties, move proceedings from removing regions from the state Supreme Court to district court, and it would allow the Attorney General or a majority of the board to initiate the removal of a region. Are those changes that you would support?
Mr. DeVizio, I'm actually on the Senate Education Committee where I'm the ranking member, and I have not heard or seen this bill as of yet. Although I will entertain a bill like of this magnitude when it comes to our Education Committee.
Okay, one final question, Senator. I appreciate your time.
Sure.
As the senator representing Silver City, where of course WNMU is located, what have you heard from people there about the perception of the university, about the perception of this process? Where is the community at right now with this?
You know, I've got plenty of constituents that have talked to me about this issue. They want to move forward. They want to make sure that that WNMU doesn't continuously be damaged by this type of reputation. We've already lost students that stated their parents didn't want to send them to WNMU because of of what's going on currently, and we got to put a stop to that. We've lost some great prospects to come over to play football and basketball and baseball that were really looking at Western New Mexico University and changed their minds because they really didn't think that WNMU was stable. So we got to bring back the stability and move forward.
Senator Gabriel Ramos, thank you so much for joining me on New Mexico in Focus.
Thank you. God bless her.